over here is CJ, over here to my left, and I'll like show her in a moment and talk about why this is even happening. But can you say some more about that? About your, because okay, so INTJs are known, right, for strategic planning.
Okay.
They're really known for that, and it sounds to me like you've done some, you know, as part of your life. Is there anything you want to talk about that you've done and what you were thinking about as you did it?
Most recently, okay, I'm in my early 60s, and I'm looking at where can I live. You know, I'm trying to think a little bit. I mean, most of my friends are like, is there something wrong? And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to think ahead. Where do I want to be living in 20 years?
Again, INTJ get that a lot, right? Like, is there something wrong? Or any, you know, what were you just talking about?
Like, no, I want, okay, I saw a lot of older people wind up in nursing homes, and it was really, really, really sad because they refused to leave their home until they couldn't live on their own anymore. And I thought, how depressing. I never want to do that.
Yeah.
I never want to wait till I can't live on my own. You know, I have to move. So I started it, hopefully 20 years, 30 years, I don't know, ahead of time. And like, where do I want to be living? You know, what kinds of things might be potential risks for me? And one is I can see being isolated. So I moved. I was in a condo, but it was one of the garden style where you walk up your own, and I could go for days without seeing anyone. In fact, I had a couple minor surgeries, I mean, very minor, but still, when you're at home, and days do go by, you don't see anybody. So I was thinking, well, maybe more of an apartment style condo where there's a lobby and you're kind of forced to run into other people. I love the mailbox kind of interactions. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, saying hi. Or I want somebody around if it's snowing. I love snow. I know up here you probably get sick of it, but I love snow or any kind of weather. You know, there are times you really want people around. But so I figured, so I did move. And I have a hallway. Of course, now I hardly ever see anybody in my hallway. I'm all the way at the end, but but I hope, and I want to get to know people before.
For what?
Before I get old.
Oh.
I want to be connected socially.
Oh, you mean like what if, you know, wear some wood to knock, but, you know, should you have any mobility issues later or whatever.
Right.
You certainly don't know.
Well, you know, if you ever need help.
Yeah.
I don't know how most eyes are. I hate asking for help. I think a lot of, a lot of people are like, I don't need help usually, right? It's kind of nice to have. No, I don't need it. Yeah. I mean, to the point when I was going for bike rides by myself, I would see people on the trail, and especially some men, you know, off on the side looking at talk, and I would ask, "Hey, need some help?" And I noticed they were not answering.
Oh.
And then I started like, "Do you have everything you need?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm fine, thanks." You know.
Oh, interesting. There's a little stigma, maybe.
Yeah, it's like they're competent to fix whatever's wrong with their bike. And these are people on their own, so maybe
were they mostly the men?
Maybe there are other eyes too.
Oh, were they men and women sometimes, or was it mostly men?
I'm thinking mostly men, but sometimes women. But I learned a phrase that is, "Do you have everything you need for the job?" You're competent to do it, I know, but
yeah.
And people responded a whole lot better.
Interesting.
But anyway, it might not be what you're looking for, but I did find that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I want to be connected and know people before it's hard to ask for help, so if you know them, hopefully they'll ask me for help first.
Yeah, I know, that's it. You got to get it. That's part of getting out there too, is like for other people to realize how useful you are. Yeah. And speaking of that too, because if it's okay, there was something you did say yesterday about that I thought a lot of INTJs would really relate to. What was it? And I'm not going to do it justice if I repeat it either. If I remember it properly, it was the part about being so damn competent. Do you remember?
Oh God. I am.
But it's like you said, it was really moving to me what you said, and I think a lot of INTJs and INTJ women are really going to be like, yeah.
It's so fake. I feel so fake. having to figure how to ask for help.
Okay, but do you remember what you said? Like that's the explanation, but you'd said something like, what was it?
I don't know, but I know socially that's the way a lot of people connect is asking.
Right. It was, you said it was something along, the meaning of it was along the lines of, like, I don't want to be inauthentic, and I don't want to fake it, and I don't want to pretend that I need help when I don't. Right. But at the same time, that is a way that people will often, it's sort of the pretext for interacting, and maybe you want that pretext for interacting without the phoniness.
And maybe I was talking even about wondering why my daughter wasn't checking on me after a surgery or after being sick. Or she knows I will ask for help if I need it. And she cares, but it's like, I wish she would just check in and say, how are you doing? Or somebody said, well, she knows you're fine. You may have pneumonia, but you're fine.
Yeah, like factually speaking. Yeah, she's like, fine. I know Mom planned it out, and she's got all the food in the fridge, and like she's got the numbers by the bed, and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, she did talk to the doctor intelligently.
And I know when I need to go to the doctor. She calls me to find, do I need to call the doctor for my kid yet? And I'm like, well, do they have the fever, and do they have this?
Yeah, you got the checklists.
Yeah.
Right.
I can run through that really fast.
Yeah.
And I don't show up to the doctor unless I need to go to the doctor. But I'm also not stupid about waiting either. But yeah, we're so competent, and it's socially it's kind of hard. I wish we weren't so competent.
See, and that's a theme. That's a moving kind of theme, right? That says something about it. And I just know that
my mom called it being stubborn.
Yeah, well,
and that no men were ever going to want a competent woman.
There's something to that.
Well, that's what I hear, right? That's what you hear. That's what you hear around. Like people's experience seems to bear that out. And I think that, I think that I think there would be a lot of, just a lot of women generally, but probably a lot of INTJ women who would, and INTP women. Like the INT women, I think, anyway, I'm going to do a whole other video on that eventually, several probably, but on the special sort of challenges they face. But it's, and people really don't know what to do with you, right?
Men probably,
they just don't know what to make of you.
They have their difficulty too.
Oh, absolutely, yes, absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
But I think that's interesting of the sort of like, like wanting someone to come and care for you, like show that, but yeah, you've left no loophole for them to sort of, lock into to come and see about you. Yeah. There's another thing you said. Oh, you're gonna say something? No. Okay. You said something that I thought was very quite INTJ and pretty wonderful too. You were talking about, like, you just came out, you're someone who has, we won't talk about that, but you've written a book, like you write. Right. You've enjoyed that. And you said, I think you said a couple of times in the past few days, like, I'd like to write a book about, and one of the things you said you'd like to write, they're like all the time. There's like another book you wanted to write, and you said about, people, to help people with what to do with themselves on the weekend.
Yeah, managing your weekend.
Managing your weekend. And I thought that was really cool. I thought, like, okay, an INTJ therapist, somebody who's interested in people and hears a lot about what they're not satisfied with in life and where they're unhappy and sad and discontented, etc. And what was that? You were like, I'm going to start this out.
I had a lot of clients. Maybe it was more on a Monday when client after client came in and talked about feeling just, down about their weekends. And I think a lot of the times it was just feeling guilty or dissatisfied. And this one fellow, it was week after week after week. A lot of it was didn't get anything done. And I realized what they were doing was just making a list of things they needed to accomplish. And they didn't get, if they, God forbid, have fun and didn't do everything on the list, they felt they didn't make the most of their weekend. So some of them I've actually gotten to the point where let's take a piece of paper, maybe for every weekend, and come up with categories of things you need. But let's think of what you need first, not what chores need to get done. I mean, okay, some are chore-based.
Yeah.
So maybe one chunk of time, we're doing your laundry, cleaning a bathroom, doing shopping, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But need to include also more, to me, spiritual or creativity realms, physical,
Mm-hmm.
Getting exercise or whatever. If you need a healthy dose of nature, you better put that on as a category. Need some socialization.
Mm-hmm.
And look at it more like that, or the psychosocial, spiritual
Mm-hmm.
aspects, and some people include some others. But most people don't. If you're off, you won't be doing like a vocational one, hopefully. See, that's what I struggle with, because I feel like I should be doing all the professional reading. I don't do during the week because I'm busy working.
Mm-hmm. I see you're just
I
like,
still have to figure out how to
as
get
well.
this done.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I realize that's not what I need as a person
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
for that time.
Can I tell you what I think is like INTJ-ish about that?
Okay.
I mean, the main thing is like it's a great idea. So that's the main thing.
And quiet time.
But since we're in the MBTI nerd world, I want to see about that. But what I think is interesting about that, or potentially INTJ-ish about that, or N-ish about that maybe, is INTJ-ish, because again, with the idea of a lot of planning, pretty naturally drawn to, to organizing, but in ways that make sense, and also using your sort of intuitive abilities in imagining how that should go, and entertaining different possibilities, and then selecting, analyzing it thoroughly, and then selecting which sort of courses of action are the most propitious. And what I think is neat about that is, I think the more sort of normal way to go about that kind of problem would be like, well, let's make you more productive. Let's figure out how to make you more productive. Mm-hmm. You're like, no, let's reimagine the list.
Right.
Let's change. You're like, let's do this back end kind of revert engineering and come at it from a completely different way,
and also give yourself
that will work for you. But it's very imaginative, actually. It's
also giving yourself permission
mm-hmm.
to do the things you need,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which sometimes is to do nothing.
Right, so you're kind of trying to help them enlarge the scope of what they consciously understand themselves to need, and to be better, to feel good.
Right, I've had several people start doing this, and they would come in on Mondays feeling good and relaxed for the first time.
Okay.
So that's one reason I thought the book would be pretty cool.
I would buy that book. I like that book. And it's funny, I had my people who watch this probably know that, but the type that I identify with is ENFP, which also has dominant intuition, but mine is the Jungian cognitive function of extroverted intuition. The one for INFJ. INTJ dominant cognitive function is introverted intuition, and they're very, very different. But what both have in common in the most general sense is their big picture. They're very, very interested and driven in seeing the big picture from as many vantage points as possible, and that's what they kind of live for. That's their big drive. And when I was tasked with coming up with a new way of sort of being more productive and organizing my time better, what I spontaneously came up with was a kind of grid like that. And I was sort of like, okay, this is what's going to work for someone who kind of naturally hates organizational activities, like accepts how necessary they are to getting things done and having a good quality of life, but just hates it. And I found that to be a neat way, and I was like, I can live with that.
I do that with all kinds of people.
Do you?
Because you can order the grid you make. You make the grid. It works for you. Some people's like, put all your phone calls, emails, people you need to contact in one part.
That's a section.
Yeah, section. And things to do, or chores, all different sections. I find that helps a lot of people. And what drives me crazy is the people come with their, like an iPhone list with 30 things long, but they keep adding to it
and feeling worse and worse.
Yeah, they just feeling right. You can see it all over their faces.
Yeah.
And I'm like, take it off that list.
Yeah, and you're like,
put it down.
It's not working.
It's not working. Don't make it longer. If a short one doesn't work, quit making it longer. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Is it okay if I mention something about why I guessed that you were an INTJ? Why I was like, yes, when you said so, and I brought it up, and Sallie was like, yeah, I'm that. One of the things was when, I told you the very first morning it was so great. The beginning of the morning when we're all up and just had breakfast, and what is Sallie doing? but she's looking up her, and there are other hints as well, but this is a really big one, I thought. And she's on her phone, and she's taking out a paper in another language, and is ready to, like, that's fun. Like, that's a fun way to start the day, is to start deciphering a foreign language paper, figuring out what it all means, accessing, the systems from, learned about many years ago. Whatever, that was fun. And then later, like, needing to know all about the trees, and, like, that's a thing for you. And, like, just wanting to know all about the trees. All about the trees. And you put effort into it, and you do it not because anyone told you that it's important or whatever. It's just because you like it, you're interested in that knowledge, and you're just building on it.
Absolutely.
It means something to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, knowing the environment. And...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because you did, I learned something.
And
so
you do not want to be
that.
around me when I shop for a car.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Why? What happens then?
It's a 6-month project. I love shopping for cars.
Yeah, because, and how many people do you drive crazy in the process?
I won't let people.
Oh yeah, they don't interfere. Right?
I don't let them come with me.
What do you do?
I mean, then I wound up buying a Prius, but I had to look at the different engines. I wanted to understand the engine and how it worked. And what's the difference in the Honda? What is their hybrid? I've forgotten. But anyway, their hybrid and the Toyota hybrid. And then I had to look at the Hyundai hybrid. It's not like I'm an engineer, but enough to get an idea.
Right. And probably to get an idea.
And then after that, how do you get the best price?
Mm-hmm. Did you research all about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Like how many hours do you think you spent on the different?
I don't know. It's just 6 months when I was in the mood. But I do have a rule when I start feeling bad, that or just...
I have several, so...
Okay. At that point, I'm like, just make that decision.
Oh, you mean when you get way in there, and then you're like,
when you start obsessing and ruminating, it's like,
it's not fun. Yeah,
it's not fun.
It's getting stressful to you.
Right.
Too much information even for me.
It's time just to do it, yeah.
Okay.
Or don't do it.
It's like, that's part of playing the game, is knowing when to stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fold them.
Obsessing does not feel good.
No.